every time we interview Dado, he always speaks about how he wouldn't have achieved everything that he has if not for an understanding wife like you. What are your thoughts on that? I'm sure he tells you that too.
Well, it's true.
Of course.
Well, you know, marriage is not a 50-50 thing. I never believed in a 50-50 type,
Really?
you know, relationship. It's whoever needs more help, you know, the other person just has to be, you know, ready to back up and support.
Mm-hmm. So you would say that you were performing backup and support for Dado. Is that correct?
Yes, that's true.
But what about your own needs? At that time, I'm sure you also had your own dreams, you also had your own career, you also...
Yes. Well, I had a very successful career myself and felt that, and one thing that really helped us throughout this is that Dado's parents lived with us for 10 years. Mm-hmm. And so they were there to really be the big backup for the whole family.
See, this is where I think a lot of our viewers can get advice from you also. Not everyone gets along with their in-laws.
Right.
How did you make it work?
They are very easy to get along with, for one thing. My father-in-law worked part-time, and my mother-in-law stayed home when the kids were little. And they were just there for us, and they never really complained, and I also never really complained, and we just got along well. I mean, I spent probably more time with them than Dado did, so we had very good relationship.
And a lot of family units right now are not intact. Yours is a different case because he was just always working, but he was there. He lived with you.
Right.
But a lot of our Filipinos now going through, you know, overseas Filipino workers leaving and living away from each other, and there's temptations and there's problems. How do you make it work when the husband is not always physically there?
Well, in our case, it wasn't really that bad. I mean, he wasn't overseas, for one thing, although he was gone quite a bit, and during, you know, the early years, computers were not as the way computers are now. So he would have to go to a computer center to work and so on. And a lot of times what I did was I brought the kids there. I mean, we would go there, bring lunch over, spend time with him, go to the park and have lunch in the park. So in a way, you just make the time with him by trying to adjust some of the things that you do as a family.
But also because I think in order to have a good relationship, you should be able to talk to each other as well about different things. And I'm sure there were times when he wanted to talk to you about business and about technology. And are you as into that as he was?
Okay. I'm not a scientist, I'm not a technologist, but I had an interest in it because my work then was with helping people who are unemployed or who are very poor to get a career. So having a husband who's a technologist helped me too. So we kind of shared ideas. I talked to him about what my needs are, and when I need help as far as what type of jobs will there be in the next 2 years or something like that, then he can kind of advise me. And when he needs help as far as, can you train people for me? Yeah, so there was a give and take. And I had also, I guess, the interest in finding out what he does and some understanding at least. I'm not, like I said, I'm not a scientist, I'm not an engineer, but I had the interest.
Aside from the interest in finding out what he does, was there resentment? Because that was the reason why he would cancel dates on you. He told us before that the one time he forgot that you were there waiting for dinner because you had a dinner date and he just completely forgot.
Resentment not really, because I don't ever resented any of it. I think because I was his biggest supporter. I mean, I remember when, in our early years of marriage, when he would talk about things, about ideas, and it's like, hey, go do it, you know. You really need to follow what you're dreaming about rather than just talking about it. So it took him 10 years, I think, before he got his first, he really did his first startup.
So you were really the cheerleader.
I would say so. And I really believed in him, and I felt that if his venture failed, he's a really great engineer, and he would always find a job. So that he really just needs to take that opportunity.
What about those times when he wasn't there for you, and he submitted that, I mean, as a family or being with the kids as much as you were or as much as he would want to?
Well, in our marriage, I think during that time, like I said, my in-laws were there, and it really helped us a lot because we would always have the Friday night dates. And so we would go out and, if we didn't have time for dinner, we would have dessert. Or just take walks around the block. And so we did a lot of that, especially during those years because we just had to make time for ourselves.
Would you say that was the most difficult thing, looking for time?
I think, yes, and yet we made it. I think we really found time, though bits and pieces here and there. It wasn't really, like a 2-week vacation here. Or we never really did that in the early years.